The Seattle Seahawks had their final day of minicamp for the 2025 offseason yesterday. All right, everybody. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this Thursday. And yesterday was a very intriguing day for Seattle Seahawks fans, and maybe will be the last intriguing day for a while, because yesterday was the final day of Seattle Seahawk mandatory minicamp, just a little 2-day event. The rookies are going to be doing some work next week, but my understanding is we as fans are not going to have any transparency into that. So we may be waiting around for 6 weeks for something to happen. So what we have in front of us is something we're going to have to make last for a little while here. So I'm going to talk about the things that I heard, talk about the things that were passed along from the various media members who were there, guys like Henderson, guys like Greg Bell, guys like Dugar, guys like John Boyle, Condota, anybody else who gets involved in this stuff. You guys know the usual suspects by now. Now, I'm going to go ahead and chop this up into 2 videos today. First one, I'm going to just talk about some of the general takeaways that people had from yesterday's minicamp. And the second video is just going to be all about one thing from this minicamp that was really cool that I want to spend a little bit more time on. Maybe it'll be like a 9 to 10 minute video. Maybe it'll be longer. Who knows? If it needs to be, then it will be. But I want that to be its own video. That's going to go up a little bit later. So if you watch this video and you're like, hey, why didn't he talk about this? It's probably because it's the thing I'm going to talk about later, because that merits further discussion. All right. So minicamp day 2, the final day. Let's dive in. Let's see what the people said. Let's try to round up as much information as we can. Please click the thumbs up button on this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new, click the bell for notifications, become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support the channel. Okay, so one interesting note from yesterday, Richard Sherman was there. Here he is talking to John Schneider following, this is after the minicamp was over. So Sherman was in the building. He continues to kind of have this it's a very complicated relationship he has with this Seahawks team, isn't it? It's a little bit hard to define, a little bit hard to put your finger on how he really feels about this team and somebody like a John Schneider. Because assuming that it was John Schneider's call, he's the guy that he should have a beef with for letting him go when he was injured back after the 2018. No, it was the 2017 season. So I don't know if there are hard feelings there, but doesn't look like they're fighting about anything, I guess. So there you go. So the general sentiment that I saw from a lot of people concerning the offseason as a whole is kind of that thing that you expect. The starting defense is far ahead of the offense. The defense is this team's obvious strength. Darnold and Kubiak have some work to do. So yesterday was not any different. My understanding is that in red zone drills, Sam Darnold went 1 for 6, and there was one point in time where he threw what should have been back-to-back interceptions on red zone plays. And the only reason why he did eventually complete a pass and get a touchdown was because those interceptions were dropped. At least that's my understanding of it. Again, sometimes it's hard to piece together exactly what happened, but my understanding is that the defense continues to school the offense, which that's pretty much in line with any reasonable expectations. And generally speaking, I think that I remember during the Legion of Boom years and the Russell Wilson years, felt like the defense was always cooking the offense in training camp. Now, back then it was more so because the offensive line was so bad, nothing else mattered. But regardless, this is kind of what you would expect to happen, I think, in general. I think generally speaking, it's a little bit easier for defenses to get ramped up quickly than an offense. McDonald talked a little bit about the 2 main positional competitions on the Seahawks right now, which is center and right guard. He said that the Seahawks would like to settle on starters sooner than later into training camp. Says Bradford has improved his body, so I guess that's good. He's got a lot more he needs to improve, though, if he wants to become a good NFL player. And I guess the takeaway for us right now is that they haven't made a decision yet, which you wouldn't expect them to. I'm going to continue to hold to my hope, but there are a few different ways this can play out that I think can work. I'm not a big Oluwatimi fan, but I think he can work. I think you can get decent reps out of him at the center position. I do think that having a guy like Lomia at right guard is not ideal, but it can work, especially if you put good stuff around him. So, however it shakes out, hopefully it works. But I'll say this. I continue to believe the best path is to put Haynes at center, put Bradford at right guard, and just sail it down mid at that point. Here's the sequence that I was talking about a little bit earlier. The defensive backs almost ended minicamp with a bang today. Reek and Spoon had interceptions, hit them in the hands, potential interceptions. They were not actually intercepted, both from Darnold. This may have not been the red zone sequence. I think that it was, but it may not have been. Again, when you're following along on X, sometimes it becomes not so clear. So Reek jumped an in-breaker and Spoon jumped a slant. So on the one hand, Reek and Spoon locked in. We'd like to see that. On the other hand, Darnold putting the ball in harm's way. We don't like that as much, but it is minicamp. If you're going to do that at any point, you should be doing it now. So if we get to the regular season and things are better, then it was all the better that he built the experience of doing it in camp. And then after Spoon dropped the interception, Sam hit JSN for a touchdown. So if that was the red zone session, that was the one completion they had in the red zone portion of the practice. So again, you're going to get mixed results from the offense right now. I'm not going to read too much into it. I like I said before, Darnold is a guy who has historically been pretty turnover happy. So if he ends up being turnover happy for us, I'm not going to be surprised. And it's not necessarily going to be a deal breaker either. You can have a lot of turnovers and still be a really good quarterback. You just have to work really hard to make up for it. But there are quarterbacks that do it. Josh Allen used to be among the league leader in turnovers every year at the quarterback spot. And he was still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was still in contention for best quarterback in the league. More stuff coming out of this training camp, out of this offseason about how Emanwari is very, very smoothly sliding himself into the fold here. There is a lot of stuff coming out about how he is integrating himself with the veterans in the secondary extremely well. And he seems like he fits right in from a level of desiring to play physically with a guy like Witherspoon and having a good understanding, having that veteran-like understanding or developing it like Julian Love has, because Love's been in the league for a while. It seems like he's fitting right in. So when I drafted him, when the Seahawks drafted him, one thing that I said was that there was a little bit of concern about how much this guy was into football. It seems like he's very into football. So there's that I'm not so worried about at this point. Okay, so really like what I'm hearing here, and this is a big one. This is an important one, so good to hear. We had a little blurb on NFL Nation from Brady Henderson about how DeMarcus Lawrence is practicing really, really hard out there, going into year 12 for him, making his presence felt. He's probably very frustrated because last year he only got to play 4 games and didn't do all that much. So he's probably feeling very, very motivated to go out there and prove he can still do it. So good to hear good things about that. One little note that Condota caught that I thought was intriguing was Kenny McIntosh. Kenny McIntosh was doing some kick returning, so he's going to be a candidate for handling the kick returns, which, I mean, I'm going to take a lot from how the special teams, particularly the return game, looks when the season starts. If we've got somebody out there who is incompetent and can't field punts and can't perform the job at an even basic level, that's going to bother me a lot. That's going to stick with me a lot because we had the offseason to fix it. We knew it was a big problem last year. So you got to find a way to get somebody back there that can catch it. And you had that guy last year and you decided not to bring him back in Jalen Darden. So whoever we put out there, they better at least be able to catch the ball and not let it hit the ground. So I like the idea of McIntosh. Obviously, I think the dream is Torrey Horton, but I guess he's not 100% healthy right now. So for now, it's McIntosh. We also got a little bit from Charles Cross talking about a possible extension this offseason. Now, Cross didn't have a ton to say about it in terms of like illuminating statements. It was pretty boilerplate, which, I mean, he shouldn't be the one talking contract details. That should be his agent. I'm just worried about right now. That's it. We'll get to that when the time comes. So not really anything that we can take a conclusion from. My position has been for a while now, get this guy paid now, because if you wait until next year, he's going to cost significantly more. You could be looking at $4 to $5 million per year more if you wait for this extension. So I'm trying to get it done now because there's no world where I don't want him on this team long term. So I'm hoping that something gets done, and I'm hoping it's at a cost that is manageable, because it's going to get less and less manageable with each year we let go. Now, he did talk a little bit about getting the fifth-year option picked up in May. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but Seattle. I love the fans here. I love the team. One of the greatest organizations in the NFL. So we do have some players who like being here, and that's good because sometimes it can kind of feel like people don't want to be here after the offseason we just had with some of our best players. It does start to make you wonder about the organization. So when you hear things like, oh, DK Metcalf is wanted out for quite some time, and then whatever went on with Geno Smith, which that I think is something we'll never fully grasp. A lot of people think that he didn't want to be here anymore. That may very well be true, but when you see stuff like that happen, you can't help, I think, as a fan, but start to wonder, like, okay, what are we doing wrong? Why do these good players not want to be here? Why do some of our key players not want to be part of this organization? So hearing something like this is good. A couple of injury notes, because everybody was there, by the way. That's worth noting. Everybody was there. No holdouts, no hold-ins, no problems, no money problems, no money debates. Just players that are locked in and ready to go. Good to hear. Ken Walker and Ernest Jones were limited for teamwork, so they are doing some stuff. So at this point, it can only be assumed that they're going to be ready to go for the season. I mean, we've got 3 months. So the fact that they're already limited tells you that we're on the right track here. Riley Mills was out, which is expected. Torrey Horton also out, which is consistent with what happened last the last minicamp session 2 days ago. But I'm a little bit surprised about this because my understanding was things were going really well for him in the rookie minicamp and some of the OTAs. So I don't know if things got worse. I haven't heard any clarity there yet. But he's a guy that I really like, and I'm really hoping that he can contribute this year because I think there are contributions to make. All right, so that will just about do it for this video. Like I said, there's going to be another video later today dedicated to one particular topic. And if you paid attention to the coverage of minicamp yesterday, you probably already know what it is, but there was one particular guy who really looked good, and it's somebody who was not by any stretch of the imagination guaranteed to look good. So we're going to spend some more time on this a little bit later, but for now, let me know what you guys think about the body of work from the Seahawks at minicamp. And look, clearly the coaches think what they saw was really good because they wouldn't have given the team all that time off if they didn't. But it's at the very least encouraging, right? It's about as good as you could hope for right now. All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Like I said, another video coming later today. Keep an eye out for it around 12:30 probably. and go Hawks.